this is what type of stone that we're looking at in here?
This is red granite.
Numerous type of object preserved from ancient Egypt.
Ancient Egypt is full of surprises, and even after all the incredible discoveries we've made, there are still so many mysteries left to solve, from hidden tombs to strange artifacts.
The term hieroglyphics and ancient Egyptian texts.
Egypt's history keeps us guessing, proving that we've barely scratched the surface of its secrets. 1. How were the pyramids built? The pyramids are some of the most iconic structures in the world, but how they were built is still a bit of a mystery. These massive stone buildings, especially the Great Pyramid of Giza, were constructed thousands of years ago, long before modern technology.
Ancient structures makes the fact that Egyptians gave up building all the more incredible.
It's hard to imagine how ancient builders managed to move millions of heavy stone blocks and stack them so perfectly without cranes, trucks, or power tools. One theory is that the Egyptians used ramps. They might have built long, straight ramps or even spirals around the pyramids to push or pull the stones into place. Workers probably used logs, sledges, and ropes to transport the blocks. But no one knows exactly how the ramps were designed or how many people were involved. Some people also believe that water may have been used to help move the heavy stones by reducing friction. What we do know for sure is that the Egyptians were highly organized and had an incredible workforce. They planned every detail carefully, showing just how skilled they were in both engineering and teamwork. 2. How did King Tut pass away? King Tutankhamun, or King Tut, is one of the most famous pharaohs, mostly because of the discovery of his almost untouched tomb in 1922. But one big mystery still surrounds him. How did he die? He was only about 19 years old when he passed away, and for years, people have been trying to figure out the cause of his sudden death. Some experts think he might have died in an accident, like a chariot crash, because his mummy shows injuries, including a broken leg. Others suggest he had health problems, like a bone disorder, since his body shows signs of being fragile. There's even a theory that he might have been murdered, possibly by someone who wanted to take over the throne. In recent years, scientists have done more tests on King Tut's mummy, including DNA studies. They found that he had malaria and might have had a condition called Kohler's disease, which weakens bones, but the exact reason for his death remains unclear. 3. The enigma of the Rosetta Stone. The Rosetta Stone is a giant piece of rock, but it's not just any rock. This slab of stone helped unlock the mystery of ancient Egyptian writing. Before it was discovered, no one could read hieroglyphs, the symbols used by the Egyptians. The Rosetta Stone changed that. The stone is special because it has the same text written in 3 different languages: Greek, Demotic, and Egyptian hieroglyphs. Since scholars already knew Greek, they were able to use it.
It was buried for centuries until French soldiers found it, and one of them realized what its significance might be.
As a key to unlock the other languages. It was like cracking a code. The person most famous for figuring it all out was a French scholar named Jean-François Champollion, who spent years working on it. What's amazing is that the Rosetta Stone wasn't originally meant to be a key to unlock hieroglyphs. It was actually a decree issued by King Ptolemy V, kind of like an official announcement, but its importance goes way beyond that now. Thanks to this stone, we can read the words left behind by the ancient Egyptians, helping us understand so much more about their culture and history. 4. What's up with the land of Punt? The land of Punt was a mysterious and rich place that the ancient Egyptians wrote about. They described it as a land full of gold, incense, and exotic animals like monkeys and giraffes. But here's the big mystery. No one knows where Punt was located. Some think it was in modern-day Somalia, while others believe it could have been in Ethiopia or even Arabia. The Egyptians traded with Punt for many years, bringing back valuable treasures. One of the most famous expeditions to Punt was led by Queen Hatshepsut, and it's recorded in detail on the walls of her temple. This journey brought back myrrh trees, which were planted in Egypt, and lots of precious goods. Despite all the ancient records, archaeologists have never found any physical evidence of Punt. No ruins, no artifacts, nothing. That's why its exact location is still a mystery. What we do know is that Punt must have been a very important place for the Egyptians, based on how often they wrote about it. 5. Let's not forget about the Curse of the Pharaohs. The Curse of the Pharaohs is one of the creepiest stories to come out of ancient Egypt. The idea is that anyone who disturbs the tomb of a pharaoh will be cursed with bad luck, illness, or even death. This story really took off after the discovery of King Tut's tomb in 1922. Soon after the tomb was opened, several members of the expedition, including the financier Lord Carnarvon, died under mysterious circumstances. People started to wonder if they had been cursed. However, scientists today believe that the so-called curse could have been explained by natural causes. Some suggest that the tombs, sealed for thousands of years, may have contained dangerous mold or bacteria that affected those who opened them. Others think the deaths could have been coincidences. 6. The Lost Tomb of Nefertiti. Nefertiti, one of the most famous queens of ancient Egypt, was known for her beauty and power. She ruled alongside her husband, Pharaoh Akhenaten, and played a major role in the kingdom's religious revolution. But while we know a lot about her life, one big mystery remains. Where is her tomb? For years, archaeologists have searched for Nefertiti's final resting place.
Nefertiti's early life is also still a mystery.
But so far, it hasn't been found. Some believe she could be buried in a hidden chamber within King Tutankhamun's tomb. This theory was sparked by radar scans that suggested there might be more rooms behind the walls of Tut's burial site. If true, this could be one of the biggest discoveries in Egyptian history. Others think her tomb might be located in a completely different place, perhaps in the Valley of the Kings or the Valley of the Queens, where many other royals were buried. The hunt for Nefertiti's tomb continues, and if it's ever found, it could unlock even more secrets about ancient Egypt. 7. The eternal riddle of the Sphinx. The Great Sphinx of Giza is one of Egypt's most recognizable monuments, but it's also one of the most mysterious. Built more than 4,500 years ago, this giant statue has the body of a lion and the head of a human, believed to represent Pharaoh Khafra. Yet, there's a lot about the Sphinx that remains a mystery. For starters, no one knows for sure why it was built. Some think it was a guardian of the pyramids, while others believe it had religious significance, possibly connected to the sun god, Ra. What's also interesting is that the Sphinx was carved from a single piece of limestone, which shows how skilled the ancient builders were. One of the biggest questions about the Sphinx is what happened to its nose. If you look at it today, you'll notice it's missing. Some stories say Napoleon's soldiers accidentally damaged it, but historians think the nose might have been destroyed long before that. 8. The mystery behind the Sphinx of Israel. While the Great Sphinx of Giza is the most famous, did you know there's a Sphinx in Israel too? This ancient statue was found in the city of Hassor and has left experts scratching their heads. What's even more confusing is that it's not fully intact, just the paws and some of the base remain. However, the discovery is important because it has an inscription linking it to Pharaoh Menkaure, who ruled Egypt and built one of the Giza pyramids. So, what is an Egyptian Sphinx doing in Israel? Some believe it was brought there as a gift or loot during a military campaign. Hazor was a major city in the ancient Near East, and it's possible that this Sphinx was either taken there after a battle or given as a diplomatic offering between Egypt and the rulers of Hazor. 9. The mysterious disappearance of Pharaoh Hatshepsut. Hatshepsut was one of the few female pharaohs, and she ruled Egypt for over 20 years. She was known for her peaceful reign, incredible building projects, and her famous expedition to the land of Punt. But after her death, something strange happened. Her name and images were removed from many monuments, as if someone wanted to erase her from history. It wasn't until much later that archaeologists began piecing together her story. Some believe that her stepson, Thutmose III, who became pharaoh after her, wanted to eliminate any trace of her rule to solidify his own power. Others think it could have been part of a larger attempt to restore Egypt to its traditional values, as Hatshepsut's reign was seen as unusual because of her gender. What makes things even more confusing is that Hatshepsut's mummy was lost for many years. It wasn't until 2007 that DNA tests confirmed a previously unidentified mummy as hers. 10. The hidden chamber of the Great Pyramid. The Great Pyramid of Giza has stood for thousands of years, yet it still holds secrets. One of the biggest mysteries is the possibility of a hidden chamber inside the pyramid. In recent years, advanced scanning technology has shown that there might be an empty space deep within the pyramid that no one knew about before. Experts are still debating what this chamber could be. Some think it might have been a storage room for treasures,
Unlike the rest of the pyramid, this is red granite.
or tools used during the pyramid's construction. Others believe it could hold something even more significant, like a burial chamber or important artifacts. 11. The mummy wrapped in a foreign book. Mummies are usually wrapped in linen, but one mummy was found wrapped in something very unusual, a book. The mummy was discovered in Egypt, but what makes it even more fascinating is that the book wasn't written in Egyptian, but in Etruscan, a language from ancient Italy. This has left experts scratching their heads. How did an Etruscan book end up being used as mummy wrappings in Egypt? One theory is that the book was part of the trade between the Egyptians and other cultures. It's possible that the Etruscan people had connections with Egypt, and the book was brought over as a trade item or gift. Another theory is that it could have been reused because of its linen material, which was rare and valuable. 12. Who is the unknown queen? In ancient Egypt, there were many powerful queens, but not all of them are well known. One example is the discovery of a tomb that might belong to a forgotten queen. This unknown queen was buried in a richly decorated tomb, but her name and identity remain a mystery. What's even stranger is that her tomb was discovered in an area usually reserved for kings, suggesting that she was someone of great importance. Archaeologists have found many clues in the tomb, including inscriptions and treasures, but none that clearly reveal who this queen was. Some believe she could have been the wife of a powerful pharaoh, while others think she might have ruled in her own right. 13. What about the destroyed pyramid of Djedefre, Pharaoh? Djedefre was the son of Khufu, the builder of the Great Pyramid, but his own pyramid didn't last. Located at Abu Rawash, north of Giza, Djedefre's pyramid is mostly destroyed today. While it's not as well known as the pyramids at Giza, it's still surrounded by mystery. The big question is, why was it destroyed? Some believe the pyramid was never completed. Djedefre's reign was shorter than his father's, and it's possible that his pyramid was abandoned before it could be finished. Others think it was intentionally dismantled by later rulers who didn't like Djedefre or wanted to use the stones for their own building projects. 14. Let not forget about the Labyrinth of Giza. The ancient historian Herodotus wrote about a massive labyrinth in Egypt that he claimed was even more impressive than the pyramids. According to his writings, this labyrinth was located near the Giza pyramids
And their kingdom's wealth, building huge pyramids which served as lockers for whatever they wanted to take into the afterlife.
and had thousands of rooms and passages so complex that no one could find their way out without a guide. But here's the thing, no one has ever found it. Some believe the labyrinth could still be hidden beneath the sands of Egypt, waiting to be discovered. Others think Herodotus might have exaggerated or misunderstood what he saw. There's also a theory that the labyrinth wasn't at Giza at all, but somewhere else in Egypt. In modern times, archaeologists have used radar and other technology to scan the area around the pyramids, but so far, nothing resembling a labyrinth has been found. 15. What's the mystery behind Dendera light? The Dendera light was a strange carving found in the Temple of Hathor at Dendera, and it has sparked lots of debate. The carving shows what some people think looks like a giant light bulb, leading to crazy theories that the ancient Egyptians had some kind of advanced technology for lighting. But what's really going on here? Most historians believe that the carving is a symbolic image and not evidence of electricity in ancient Egypt. The bulb could actually be a depiction of a lotus flower, which was an important symbol in Egyptian culture. The long filament inside is thought to represent a serpent, another common symbol, and the entire image may be part of a creation myth. 16. The Khufu ship's mystery might never be solved. One of the most surprising discoveries near the Great Pyramid of Giza was the Khufu ship, a massive wooden boat buried in a pit beside the pyramid. The ship was found in 1954, almost completely intact, despite being buried for thousands of years. But why was it there? The Khufu ship is believed to have been a solar bark, a boat meant to carry Pharaoh Khufu's soul to the afterlife. In ancient Egyptian belief, the pharaoh would need to journey across the heavens with the sun god, Ra. The boat might have been buried to serve Khufu on this journey, though some also think it could have been used during his lifetime for ceremonial purposes. The ship is made entirely of wood and was designed without nails. The pieces fit together like a giant puzzle, showing just how advanced Egyptian shipbuilding techniques were. 17. The Abydos helicopter hieroglyphs. In the Temple of Seti I at Abydos, there's a set of hieroglyphs that have sparked one of the biggest debates in Egyptology. The carvings appear to show what some people say look like modern machines, including a helicopter, a tank, and even a spaceship. This has led to all sorts of theories about ancient Egyptians having knowledge of advanced technology.
The term hieroglyphics literally means holy writing, and ancient Egyptian texts say it was a gift given to them from the god Thoth.
Or even being visited by aliens. But before jumping to conclusions, experts have offered a more grounded explanation. The strange shapes are actually the result of something called palimpsest, where carvings were done over older ones. Over time, the carvings eroded and merged, creating the illusion of these modern shapes. The original hieroglyphs were probably just typical symbols used in ancient Egypt, while the helicopter hieroglyphs are likely just a quirk of erosion and overlapping carvings. They still capture people's imaginations. 18. Where's the lost city of Heracleion? Heracleion was once a bustling city on the coast of Egypt, but for centuries it was lost to the world. The city sank beneath the Mediterranean Sea around 200 years ago and was only rediscovered in the early 2000s. Archaeologists have since uncovered temples, statues, and even ships, all preserved underwater. Heracleion was a major port city, a hub for trade between Egypt and the Mediterranean world. But over time, it began to sink due to natural disasters like earthquakes and rising sea levels. By the time it disappeared, its exact location had been forgotten, leading to centuries of mystery. Today, divers and archaeologists continue to explore the underwater ruins, and each new discovery gives us more insight into what life was like in this once thriving city. 19. How do they have advanced knowledge of astronomy? The ancient Egyptians were not just skilled builders. They also had a deep understanding of the stars and planets. They used astronomy for many purposes, including keeping track of time, aligning their monuments, and guiding religious practices. One of the most famous examples of their astronomical knowledge is the alignment of the pyramids at Giza. The Great Pyramid, in particular, is aligned almost perfectly with the cardinal directions, north, south, east, and west, showing that the Egyptians knew how to track the movement of the stars with incredible accuracy. The Egyptians also used the stars to mark important times of the year. They relied on the star Sirius to predict the annual flooding of the Nile River, which was vital for agriculture. This event marked the beginning of their new year, showing how closely their calendar was tied to the heavens. The ancient Egyptians didn't have telescopes or modern tools, but they used careful observation and complex calculations to understand the sky. 20. The unexplained medical knowledge. Ancient Egyptian doctors were ahead of their time, and their medical knowledge still amazes people today. They practiced surgery, set broken bones, and even used herbal medicines that are similar to some modern treatments. What's surprising is how advanced their medical texts were, considering how old they are. One of the most famous is the Ebers Papyrus, a 20-meter-long scroll filled with medical advice and remedies. The Egyptians understood the human body well. They performed surgeries, drained abscesses, and even conducted brain surgery. They also used various herbs and plants to treat illnesses. For example, they used honey as an antiseptic, which we know today is effective at preventing infections. 21. The Saqqara Bird. The Saqqara Bird is a small wooden object that was discovered in an ancient Egyptian tomb at Saqqara in 1898. At first glance, it looks like a simple carving of a bird, but there's something about its design that has sparked curiosity. With its sleek shape, horizontal tail, and balanced wings, some people believe it might have been an ancient model of a glider or even a small plane. Dating back to around 200 BCE, the Saqqara Bird raises a lot of questions. Was it just a child's toy or a symbolic object? Or did the ancient Egyptians understand some principles of flight? Some scientists and researchers have tested replicas of the Saqqara Bird in wind tunnels, and it turns out that its design could, in theory, allow it to glide for short distances. However, this doesn't necessarily mean that the Egyptians were trying to build flying machines, as there's no solid evidence that they pursued this kind of technology. Despite these tests, most archaeologists believe that the Saqqara Bird was likely a ceremonial or symbolic object, possibly representing the soul's flight to the afterlife, which fits with ancient Egyptian beliefs. Whether it's a mysterious artifact of ancient flight knowledge or just a misunderstood bird-shaped model, the Saqqara Bird remains a mystery for historians to explore. 22. The Etruscan Mummy and the Liber Linteus. The Etruscan mummy and the Liber Linteus is a rare combination of two ancient mysteries rolled into one. In the 19th century, a mummy was found in Egypt that appeared pretty typical at first. However, researchers soon discovered that the linen bandages used to wrap the mummy were covered in writing, but not in Egyptian hieroglyphs. Instead, the text was written in Etruscan, a language spoken in ancient Italy,
with an inscription thought to be in the Lemnian language that also may have had a relationship with Etruscan,
which is far from Egypt. This discovery left historians puzzled. How did an Etruscan text end up wrapped around an Egyptian mummy? The writing on the linen became known as the Liber Linteus, the longest known text in the Etruscan language, which is only partially understood today. The Liber Linteus appears to be a religious calendar or ritual guide, but since we can't fully read Etruscan, its exact meaning remains unclear. The Etruscan mummy and the Liber Linteus continue to intrigue researchers because they combine two cultures that weren't known to have much contact with each other. 23. Valley of the Monkeys. The Valley of the Monkeys is an area located near the famous Valley of the Kings in Egypt. Unlike the Valley of the Kings, which is known for its royal tombs, the Valley of the Monkeys earned its name from ancient artwork that featured baboons. These primates were often associated with the god Thoth, who was connected to wisdom and writing. The Valley of the Monkeys is home to some lesser-known but still important tombs, particularly of Egypt's pharaohs and royals from the 18th dynasty. One of the most significant tombs in this valley belongs to Pharaoh Amenhotep III. His tomb is one of the largest and most elaborately decorated ever found, giving us incredible insights into royal burial practices during ancient times. Amenhotep III ruled Egypt during a time of peace and prosperity, and his tomb reflects the wealth and grandeur of his reign. 24. The Pet Cemetery was a huge discovery. The ancient Egyptians really loved their pets, just like we do today, but they took things to the next level when it came to honoring their furry friends. In 2021, archaeologists uncovered the world's oldest pet cemetery in Egypt, and it showed just how much Egyptians cared about their animals. This cemetery had mummified pets like cats, dogs, monkeys, and even crocodiles. What's really surprising is that these animals were mummified in the same way as humans, including pharaohs. Mummification was usually only for the rich and powerful, but in Egypt, it wasn't just for people, it was for pets too. These animals weren't just tossed aside, they were given special care, showing how important they were in Egyptian society. Some pets even had their own little tombs and burial chambers, just like important people. The archaeologists also found that the pets were well fed and didn't die because of mistreatment. They all passed away from natural causes, which shows how much their owners cared for them. Are there any more Egyptian mysteries we don't know about? Has the government been hiding things from us?